All right. If you are in the business of losing money, you can go ahead and just shut this down and go and watch something else, right? Go and watch somebody else on YouTube telling you what you want to hear, making you feel good about your decisions and all of those types of things. But if you're someone that is just open to learning the truth, then you should watch this video until the end. Your home is not an investment, okay? It is not an investment. In fact, it is a bad investment. It's a terrible investment. I know this is contrary to what some people are saying out there. Like, you should put money in your home, you should save money, you should buy your starter home, all of this nonsensical lingo that people put out there to get you to buy things, right? But if you do the math, if you model it out, you will find that it is clear. It's not even a debate anymore. Like most reasonable people that know what they're doing will tell you that it is not an investment, right? Now, I know some people are going to come for me in the comments and say things like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Like I did this, like I bought my home for $200,000 15, 30 years ago, and now I'm selling it for $1 million. I made money on that. That's fine. That's fine. What I'm going to say is, what I've found is most people actually don't understand the concept of opportunity costs, right? Most people do not understand the concept of opportunity costs. So typically, when people are saying I made money on an investment, they are looking at the baseline number. They're saying, I put this money in, and then I came out with that money, right? And they're saying they made a profit or they made money. They gained something on that investment. Now, it may be technically true, even though what I would say is oftentimes they are probably not truly calculating all of the actual costs. But let me even grant them that is true. You put in $500,000, 10, 15 years later, you sold the asset, you sold your house, you now have $1 million. Okay, you have $500,000 profit. Now, that is profit, right? Or that is what you gained. But when I'm talking about opportunity cost, what I'm talking about is what is the next best option that is available for you out there. Now, I'm going to come back to that later on in this video. But going back to the question of whether or not your home is an investment, it is a terrible investment. When you are a young person, buying a home is actually one of the worst financial decisions that you can make. Like when I hear people saying, oh, I'm saving up to buy a home, I'm like, oh my God, please don't do that. Like I'm trying to pull out my hair, even though I have none. I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you. But anyway, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not telling people how to spend their money. But like I said, many people, they are so happy wasting their money, throwing their money out in the ocean and just doing whatever they want with it, all because it makes them feel good. Now, if you say you're buying a home because it makes you feel a certain way, it makes you feel good, like you feel a sense of security, then just go ahead and say that you're just paying money, you spending all that money for psychology. Like, I mean, I will argue that you should go talk to a psychologist, but it is what it is. You're spending your mortgage to have peace of mind, and that's what it is. You just go ahead and say that this is an emotional thing for you, not really a financial decision. And that is totally fine. As long as you are clear about what your objectives are and what you're doing, then that is totally fine. Now, this is what I'm going to say. Sophisticated investors, rich people that actually have money in this economy, they do buy real estate. So I'm not talking about do not buy real estate at all, or buying real estate is a bad idea. No, that is not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is, if you really want to understand whether or not something makes sense, just follow the people with money in the economy and look at what they're doing, and that will generally tell you how things work. Now, as I said, these rich folks, they do buy real estate. In fact, they put a lot of their money in real estate, but they don't buy real estate because they think the property is necessarily going to appreciate in value, right? Because if you think about the modeling that people do on their real estate assets, their real estate investments, in terms of the property itself, they will probably put 3-4%, increase annually. But why would you, if that's what you're looking to gain from that property, you may as well just put your money in some sort of S&P where you don't even have to think about it at all. But the reason why they do invest, the reason why rich people invest in real estate is because of the cash flow that it generates. And that is very important. So in your case, the real question is not whether you shouldn't buy a single family home. The real question is you shouldn't buy necessarily for you to stay in, right? If you buy a single family home, your goal should be, okay, how can I generate cash flow from this asset, right? So that is really how you should be thinking about it. It's really not just a question of generating cash flow from these assets. It's really making sure that the money that you're generating from it actually covers the costs. It covers the mortgage and any other ancillary costs that that is going into this property, into this asset. Now, one of the big reasons why your home is a bad and terrible investment is because whatever you spend on your home, your expenses on your home is not tax deductible. So, which is not the same thing if you actually are using that home as some sort of an investment if you're renting it out. So you're talking about upgrades or updates, renovations to your kitchen, to your bathroom, I don't know, to your living room, whatever the case may be, to your patio. If you do anything to your home, roofing, right? If you change your roofs, we all know that is expensive. Electricals, sometimes things burn down or things get damaged. HVAC systems. Think about if you own your home long enough, 10, 15 years, you're gonna have to change these things at some point. You're gonna have to change them at some point. And these are significant costs, not to talk about just the day-to-day type repairs and fixes that you're doing in your home. If you're living in this home, these are not tax deductible. But if you're renting this home out, this same home, you move out of it and you're renting it out, all of a sudden, all of these expenses become tax deductible. And which goes into my next point, by the way. You should always try to make sure that any kind of financial decisions that you're making, that you are making it from the perspective of being tax efficient. Especially when you're talking about any big asset, like, you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to buy a car, you're trying to do whatever, you're trying to buy any kind of asset. You should really be thinking about, okay, what is the most tax efficient way to achieve this goal? Like you have the goal here and thinking to yourself, what is the most tax efficient way to achieve that goal? So that is what you should be thinking about. Now, let me make this a little more concrete for you. The fact that your home is a terrible investment. Let's assume you bought a house today for $500,000, $500,000, and 15 years later, you sold it for $1 million, right? You're gonna come out and say, hey, I did well. I made $500,000, $500,000. That is great. 15 years later, I'm gone. Yeah, you did well. You did fine. 500,000 in, $1 million out. But did you really do well? Did you really do fine? That's the question. So the first thing is, I'm going to say, I will question the fact that whether or not you actually made $500,000 because you haven't factored in whatever cost, whatever you've spent in improving the home, for all of that time period, like taxes or all of those types of things, right? Like I would question that. So that is one. But the second point goes to when I talk about that people don't understand the concept of opportunity cost, right? So if you put that same $500,000, $500,000 into the stock market and do nothing, just walk away, you will come out at the end of the 15 years with $1.7 million. So you're going to be 700 grand richer, minus the headache of fixing things and all of those types of things, right? So, and that is just assuming the base case, the increase that you see in the stock market, 8%. So that's not even saying any other kinds of sophisticated type of investments that may be out there. So you're just saying you made $500,000 on a $500,000 investment, 100% in 15 years, to $500,000 to $1.7 million bucks. We're talking about $1.2 million. You made $1.2 million in the same time period without doing anything. So as I said, if you're going to be making financial decisions just because it makes you feel good, then that's fine. That's totally fine. But just admit that and tell yourself that, and you're making a decision, you're throwing away money just because of the fact that it makes you feel good, it makes you feel warm on the inside, it makes your belly tingle. Just admit to that. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. That is absolutely great. I mean, I will argue that it will be a lot cheaper for you to hire a therapist, but it is what it is. But what I would say is you should try as much as possible to not get emotional about financial decisions. You should really look at the data, look at the numbers. We all have our biases. So we are coming to all of this with certain preconceived notions, things that we were taught. But sometimes you look at the data, you look at the facts, you're like, nah, this doesn't make any sense. So if you get nothing else from this video, one thing I want you to take away is that you should try as much as possible to be dispassionate about your financial decisions. Try and take the emotions out of it, and that way you can be sure that at least you're trying to make sound, logical decisions.